Hi everyone, it's Aurora and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. I am an ex-blogger and ex-copywriter turned fiction writer from the UK, and it is nearly nano season. I thought I'd do a little extra video, partly to help get me into the habit of filming a bit more and uploading a bit more, especially since I plan on doing hopefully a daily vlog for October and November. We'll see how that goes. Obviously I have got my moving dates and things like that. So yeah, anyway, this was, for me, I wanted this to be the year that I fell back in love with writing. I wanted this to be like the writing challenge that did that, which might sound crazy because I have just started a YouTube channel based solely on writing and I want to be an author. But the thing is, when I did NaNoWriMo last year, or I did my novel writing challenge last year, I did not enjoy it. I was scrabbling to get words down where I could, when I could. So I was getting up at 6 in the morning to write for half an hour, be out the door just after 7, and then, writing on my phone on the way to work. I was then writing in my breaks on my phone. I was writing on the train home on my phone, and whatever time I could scrabble to write with a proper keyboard when I got home, which, really wasn't a lot of time at all. And that wasn't enjoyable. It was just a mad dash hoping I could do it and proving that I could do it, because I hadn't written anything the year before, because 2023 was a bit of a rough time for me. I wasn't happy in my job and I was really, feeling really creatively burnt out. I just had nothing in the tank to do writing. I was just I'd hit my worst creative slump in a really long time. But anyway, the year before that, I did NaNoWriMo properly through the website and everything. And I actually hit 50,000 word goal really fast. I think I hit it in the start of the 3rd week. And okay, it was a bit different. I was not traveling every day for work, several hours. I was going to be in work at 6 usually, but I'd be home at lunchtime. So I had all afternoon to write, or, I had all morning to write, and then I'd go into work. And I did take 2 weeks off. So I just treated it like I wrote for a living. I got up in the morning, had my breakfast, sat down at the laptop. I wrote until lunchtime, had my lunch, wrote for a little while in the afternoon, had a little break in the afternoon to go for a walk, stretch my legs, and then I'd come back and write pretty much till my then boyfriend got home from work. And it was so much more enjoyable. And not just because I could pretend for 2 weeks that I was a full-time writer, but I realised something that I'd kind of almost forgotten I was allowed to do, was I was romanticising my writing process. Not just in pretending I was a full-time author, but I had a scented candle that I only lit when I sat down to write. And I had snacks that I bought in that were just for when I sat down to write. I had my nice mug with, I'd make myself nice cups of tea every time I sat, whenever I sat down to write. I always had my drink, I had my snacks, I had my candle. I would listen to a couple of songs that were inspiration for the story, and I would have my nice Pomodoro video playing with really nice, say rain sounds, or maybe more autumny sounds, and it was lovely. And I was doing the writing sprints, whereas, last year it was just any time I had to do it, I did it. There was no enjoyment. There was no romanticising it. There was no ritual. It was just dash to get it done, hope I could do it. And I did. But I hate that novel. I hate what I wrote. You can see that I wasn't enjoying it in the words. So I guess this is kind of me saying, when it comes to this, writing is, I got into that attitude of, well, if you want to be a writer, you just have to sit down and write. And that is true. You cannot say you want to be a writer and then never write a word. I know we've all been a bit guilty for procrastinating our writing, but we all do at some point actually sit down and write. I sat down this morning and I did a 25-minute writing sprint of free writing and got over 1,000 words written, which was lovely. It was all, working on ideas for the novel that I want to work on for November, which has changed from my past video. I am now going to be writing a cozy romance because I suddenly had an idea for one. I think it was, reading Pumpkin Spice Cafe, I was like, I like this, but here is where I would want to do it differently. So, cozy village in England, and I did used to live in a little village in England, like in Surrey a long, long time ago. So yeah, maybe I can find some inspiration from my past. But anyway, yeah, I realised that I did actually get into that bad habit of being like, well, you just have to sit down and write. And it's like, yeah, that is true, but you're doing a writing challenge and that's hard. That's really hard. It is called a challenge for a reason. And there is nothing wrong with wanting to gamify it or romanticize it to make it that bit more enjoyable. Whether you're gamifying it to be like, I am going to hit this, word count for the day, and then I'm going to have a treat. Whether you are, doing what I did and ritualizing it and romanticizing it, that I've got my candle, I've got my scene setting of like the nice sounds and the nice Pomodoro video, or, your cute little snacks. I'd go, when I went and had my afternoon walk, I'd go to the coffee shop, get myself a hot chocolate to come back and have that while I finished my last sprints of the day. Whatever it is that you find enjoyable to make writing that much more enjoyable, especially for the difficult times, because there are times when you are writing, whether you are a pantser or a planner or somewhere in between, you're going to have rough bits where you're sitting there going, I don't know. I don't know how to progress even though I've planned it out, or I've just, written myself into a corner because I have, because that's how I write. I just write. Whatever way you're doing it, there's going to be difficult times. I had that about a week and a half in. I was suddenly like, oh God, I have to put something in here, and I should have, and I haven't, and I am scrambling to change some of my storyboard up, but I put a chapter in, hate the chapter, have promptly taken it out since I started editing, but at least it was there, it served purpose, and I've improved on it. First draft's just got to exist, as messy as it is, and you don't have to love it. In fact, looking at it with a critical eye is important, but getting it done is the most important part at the time, because you can't edit what you haven't written. So yeah, whatever way you are, I feel like I've waffled a bit and I'm really sorry, I'm getting back on track. Whatever it takes for you to find it enjoyable. And this is why today I am going to go out and get myself a really nice scented candle. And I've already got my snacks. And I'm going to get myself a tub of hot chocolate so I can have my nice drinks. I do still have my nice teas. I always have nice tea. And I'm going to make sure that I have to set this space up every day because my desk is like the size of a postage stamp and I don't have space for everything. I really am realizing how much I miss my old desk where I had loads of space to like spread out. But I've got to work with what I've got, but I am still going to have my nice scented candle. I'm going to go and get that in a little bit, I think. And it's nice. As I say, I'm all like really falling in love with it. And getting up and doing the writing sprint today really helped. So yeah, I want to start doing all those things to ritualize it and make myself fall in love again. And I can already feel it's starting to work, and I've only just started doing it again. So yeah, this is me as a professional writer or an ex-professional writer saying to you, it is okay if that is how you want to write. If you want to ritualize and romanticize it, that is completely up to you. And don't let someone who sits there going, well, you just have to get on with it. Well, yeah, you do. But whatever gets you in the headspace to get on with it is no bad thing. We've all got those little triggers in our head that make us say, okay, it's time to sit and do the thing. My best friend says every time I go over to his, whatever time it is, he's so used to ordering dinner when I get in. He just gets hungry when I turn up. So, it's those weird little things. Our brains do work that way. And it's okay to do these little things to trick your brain into going, it's time to sit down and do the thing. let's go and write. Let's get this story churned out. Let's do it. Nothing wrong with it. Do it. And I would love to hear what your little like rituals are, or you know, what you do to make your novel writing challenges that bit more fun, that bit more enjoyable, that bit more relaxing as well, because it's quite relaxing to have, you know, nice scents, nice Pomodoro video in the background, nice drinks, nice snacks. You know, I'd love to know what it is you do to help you get your writing done. Let me know in the comments below. And yeah, you can follow me on TikTok, Blue Sky and Instagram. It's Aurora Powling on everything. And yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a like, give it a thumb, you know, give it a like, maybe give me a subscribe if you're not subscribed. I'm very grateful as a small channel who is trying to, you know, tackle the algorithm. It is always appreciated, and I will see you in the next video when we start Preptober. Bye!